Are you thinking about getting an Excalibur Dehydrator? Well, today I am going to review the 9-tray Excalibur Dehydrator. It's Jody with All About the Harvest, where I teach you how to grow, use, and preserve your harvest. And today I'm going to tell you some of these key features about this Excalibur Dehydrator, and I'm going to tell you what I really like about it. So I want to first mention that I did do a video on the 6 key features that you need to look for when purchasing a dehydrator, and I will link that here and also in the description below this video. So this particular dehydrator does have all of those key features, and I am going to cover more than just those key features in this video. So one of the first things that you're going to notice is this particular dehydrator has a see-through front door. And some of the models of the Excalibur dehydrators have a completely black door. This particular version has the window in it. And I do like that because I can see what's in there. It's particularly useful if you're dehydrating something like greens, where at first they're thicker or bigger, and then after they dehydrate for a while, they actually get flatter. And that's good to know because you can then put in additional trays once they start to flatten down. I like the clear window for that reason. Now, it's not a necessary must-have, but it is nice to know. One of the key features about this that I really liked was that this is a horizontal airflow dehydrator, which means the fan is on the back and it blows the air forward over all of the trays. So your food gets dehydrated evenly. So you do not need to rotate your trays, or you don't need to, move the bottom ones to the top. Now, that being said, you can do that. Clearly the things that are at the back of the dehydrator are likely to get drier quicker. So there are some times where I will actually rotate the tray so that the back is in the front. But for example, last night I was dehydrating some lovage, and I put the lovage in there and then set the timer for 12 hours and went to bed and woke up and didn't need to rotate anything. Everything was dry, so it worked out really well. So I didn't need to rotate anything. Okay, so another thing about this that I really enjoy is because it is a horizontal machine, your trays are solid. They don't have the hole in the center like in a circular vertical machine. So with the vertical ones where the fan is either at the bottom or the top, generally speaking, there's a hole in the center. And so they're kind of like donut rings is where you're putting your food. And the nice thing about the horizontal ones is you don't have that. So I have this beautiful big square sheet. This Excalibur is 14 by 14, so this particular area is 14 by 14. It's really large. This is the 9-tray Excalibur dehydrator, and obviously has 9 trays. The square foot for this particular model, it's 15 square feet of drying area. So I like that I have a lot of area, and these sheets are really big, so you can fit a lot on there. Now, since we're talking about the sheets, they do come with their own removable liners, and they are a really nice quality, like a heavy duty plastic. They can be put in the dishwasher. I wash mine in the sink, but you could put them in the dishwasher. I like these. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is Excalibur does have some, they're called Paraflexx sheets. And so I just put it right on top of that. It's like a silicone mat, and it's specifically made for the sheet. So it fits right on there. And then this is where you can dehydrate things like your fruit roll-ups or crackers, things that you don't want to fall through these little cracks. So this is what I use for that. Now I want to show you another tip and trick with these. This is really nice, and this is another thing I like about the fact that this is a horizontal and square, is that you can actually use these to make a bowl so that you can put, dehydrate liquids and or powders. So I actually created a bowl already. So this is how this works. So you take that Paraflexx, and you can see it's kind of like a little bowl here. You can either take paper clips or little binder clips, and on each corner you put either the paper clip or the binder clips. I actually did both just to show you the difference, but it's basically the same. It does it the same. So you can use the little paper clips or the big paper clips. And these are really nice for that. So you just basically put your soup in here or your powders. Sometimes when we powder things, the heat that is made when you're powdering it can kind of put some moisture in there. So you might want to put your powders in here to dehydrate them. Or if you have something that's already powdered and it is a little moist, like salt, you could actually put it in here, put it in this bowl, and then put the dehydrator on, and then that will allow it to dry without it blowing all over. So this is really nice. Now this also kind of shows you the nice benefit of having this with the removable trays, which is another one of the benefits that I really like. So with these removable trays, you now have this extra space for something that's taller. So when you're doing this bowl, obviously it's going to be a little taller, so you want the space. All of these trays are removable, so you could move that anywhere you want. And so that's really nice. Another feature about the dehydrator, the Excalibur Dehydrator, that I really like. And then along with that, because these trays are removable, it makes this dehydrator really versatile. So I can take all of these trays out. I could proof bread in here. I can make yogurt in here. So this is a really nice feature for this particular dehydrator. The other thing you can do is, say you only have, need 4 trays. You can take out the other trays and you can only leave the 4 trays in. Now, because of that, you can properly space things. So that's one of the key features I really like about it. I love the fact that this particular model is a 9 tray. It means that I can get 9 trays of food on here to dehydrate. My thought with the 9 tray, now the 9 tray is obviously a bigger model. They do have a 10 tray stainless steel model, which is 16 square foot. This is, again, like I said, 15 square foot. But with this, my thought is, okay, I can always dehydrate less. With this particular model, I can always dehydrate less, but you can never dehydrate more with your model. So there's a 4 tray and a 5 tray. So I chose not to get the 4 or 5 tray because I knew that I would be dehydrating likely more than the 4 or 5 tray. Plus, if you're doing things that need the area for 2 trays like this, then you're cutting it down to 2 particular shelves if you're doing a 4 or 5 tray. So for me, the 9 tray was a perfect option. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back on. So the door does just, it just sets on. There's a ledge up here and it just sets on. There is some airflow at the sides, and when this is running, you will feel some airflow coming out. If there are things inside that are particularly moist, you will sometimes get a little bit of moisture down here, to be expected. The one thing that I like about this is that this is a really lightweight dehydrator. It's big, but it's really lightweight. I chose this over a stainless steel model because it's lighter. So I can actually lift this, move it without any help from my husband or anyone else. And for me, that's really important because I dehydrate a lot. So I want to be able to get this out, put this out, and move it around. And it's made of a good quality construction. So while it's lightweight, it's heavy duty. And there is a warranty on this. So depending upon where you get it, or how you get it. This particular model has a 10-year warranty. If you got a model that has like a 5-year warranty, you can upgrade the warranty to a 10-year for $25. I've had this now for 4.5 years, and I use it a lot. There are times where I run this basically nonstop, 4 days, you know, maybe even a week. I mean, I turn it off obviously to switch out food, but I'm running it nonstop, and it's a workhorse. I don't have to worry about it overheating. I'm not worried about like fire or anything like that. This, you know, I do dehydrate right here on my kitchen counter. So this is granite, and I do have a nice, you know, the back is always open, so that's where the fan is. So there's nice airflow. So, you know, I don't worry about it. Okay, so another one of the things that I wanted to mention about this dehydrator is that it does not get too hot to touch. So when you are running this dehydrator, you can touch it, you can put your hands around it, on it. It doesn't get too hot. In fact, one of the things that I do with this is this top does get warm. So I have put different things on here to dry. So we use our coffee grounds and we dry them, and then we will use them in our compost or for our plants. And so I will put a little tray with the coffee grounds, and I'll set them on here to have them dry a little bit faster. I will also dry my tea that way as well. Sometimes I'll even put my dish towel on here just to dry out. I'll save our eggshells, and I will set them on here after I wash them and clean them out. Then I'll set them on here to kind of help them to dry a little bit faster. So that is something that isn't a normal thing to do, but it is a tip that I actually do, and I use that for. So I will use this for that. But it's definitely not too hot to touch. So you don't have to worry about kids or anything like that, like burning themselves. It definitely doesn't get that hot. It's just nice and warm. So if you're getting value from this video, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you can get more videos like this delivered to you each week. The next thing that I really like about this particular dehydrator is it has a timer. So this particular model actually has 2 timers. So you can just use a regular timer. It can go up to 48 hours. But there's also a second timer. So if you wanted to dehydrate something the first few hours at a certain temperature, and then the remainder of the time at a different temperature, you can do that. So with cherries, they recommend, I believe there's like a certain temperature, maybe 145 degrees for the first so many hours, and then down to 125 degrees for the remainder. Don't quote me on that because it will be in their book specifically what it says, but that is an example of how you do that. Now, I have heard some people that they just dehydrate at a higher temp for the first few hours just to get things to start to dehydrate, and then do it at a lower temperature after that. And there are instructions on how to actually make the timer to do the double timer. So if you want me to make a video on how to set the double timer, if you already have one of these and you just don't know how to do it, let me know, put that in the comments below, and I can make a video on how to do that. So another nice factor with the timer though, some people say like, I don't need a timer, and you may not think you do, but I will say I do find it handy, specifically if I only have, say, a little bit left of time, like maybe it's only going to be a couple more hours and this is going to be done, but yet I'm going to be gone for 8-10 hours. I can just set it for 3 hours and then just let it, turn off automatically on its own. There was a time this summer where actually I was dehydrating something and I knew it needed some additional time. We were going away camping for the weekend, and I actually let this run for, I don't remember how many additional hours, but I put the timer on for so many additional hours, and we came back and everything was done, and then I was able to put it away. The particular thing that I was dehydrating at the time was chaga, and it was something that I didn't have to worry about it rehydrating. If it were something that I could worry about it rehydrating, I would just have run it again for a little bit when I got back, just to get out any moisture. where we live, it's not super humid, so I wasn't worried about that. But that was a time where it came in handy because I knew that I needed to run it more. I think I ran it for like 18 additional hours just to make sure that it was completely done. And then, you know, when we came back, it was all good to go. So that is a way that this timer has been helpful for me. Now, another thing up at the timer here is there is a temperature setting, and the temperature setting to me was one of the most important features when I chose to get a dehydrator. I had a dehydrator years ago, and that particular dehydrator just was a really cheap, like a Sunbeam. It was one of the circular ones, the vertical ones. So again, where the fan is at the bottom, it blows the air up and kind of swirls around. There was no temperature setting on it. So I don't know what it was at. And you just put your food in there and you kind of waited for it to dry. I didn't particularly care for that because I always had to rotate the trays because, you know, things towards the bottom would get more dry than top or vice versa. And so you'd always have to rotate them. I also didn't like it because of that hole in the center, which I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. So if I wanted to do like a fruit roll-up or something, I mean, that's kind of a pain in the butt to do when there's a big hole in the center of it. Or if you're gonna do things like jerky or, you know, like things that are long strips. So I didn't particularly care for that, but the thing that really was the biggest turnoff was the temperature setting. I didn't know what my food was being dehydrated at, and you want to dehydrate your herbs at a lower temperature. So this particular model of dehydrator has a temperature setting from 95 degrees to 165 degrees. And I can set the temperature within 1 degree of any of those. So I can dehydrate herbs at 95 degrees. I can do jerky at 165 degrees. I can dehydrate, you know, fruits and veggies at 125, whatever setting I choose. Sometimes, I mean, I'll do like a weird one, like 108 degrees, right? So the nice thing about this is I can do whatever degree I want between 95 and 165. And with some of those other dehydrators out there, they either didn't have a timer, or excuse me, they didn't have a temperature setting at all, or it was like you got to pick like 3 to 5 preset settings. And the nice thing about this is I can pick anything from 95 to 165. Okay, so one of the other things I really thought was cool with this particular dehydrator was the fact that Excalibur sends you 2 different books, and one of them is the manual, and in this manual there are, you know, different drying guides and recipes, and it's obviously in multiple languages, but this was really helpful. But what I thought was even more awesome was that they give you this entire complete guide to food dehydration. It's a really nice book. I mean, it's really nice. And it goes through everything from, you know, fruit leathers, like introduction. It teaches you how to do the dual timer. It goes over, you know, all sorts of things. This was awesome, especially if you're a new dehydrator. This is something that you're going to want to use. And I reference this a lot when I first started. I was reading all sorts of things. I mean, this covers lemon balm, lemongrass, and lemon verbena. Those are very specific things, and it covers exactly how to dehydrate them. It's pretty amazing. It goes through all sorts of things: vegetable powders, vegetables, fruits, fruit leathers. I mean, you name it, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, this is pretty thick. This in itself was really an awesome benefit. I didn't even realize I was going to get this when I bought this. I am going to link this dehydrator and like the Paraflexx sheets and stuff like that in the description below this video, obviously, because if you're watching this video, you're interested or you're thinking about purchasing this. Maybe you're purchasing it for somebody for a gift or for yourself. I will say it is definitely a great investment. I know right now we're in November, and I will link for sure to Amazon. I did say that they had like a 40% off promo going on, so I will link that for sure in the description below this video so that you can take advantage of that. If you are considering getting this Excalibur or the other model of Excalibur, I would definitely make sure you subscribe to my channel, because I am going to be doing a video on how to clean this Excalibur. Now you might think, oh, it shouldn't be that hard. And like I said, I had this for 4.5 years, and today I was going through and doing, you know, my normal cleaning of it, and there were a couple things that I found out that when I was cleaning it that I didn't even realize. So I want to share those tips with you, because I think it'll save you a little time as well, knowing these tips and tricks on how to clean it. There are some, you know, different cracks and crevices, and I found a couple hacks that will work when you're going to clean this. So make sure you subscribe to my channel to get that video when it comes out. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about this dehydrator that I didn't cover. I would love to answer them for you. Now, if you're not quite sure if the Excalibur Dehydrator is for you, then I want to make sure you watch the video that I mentioned earlier. I did a video called the 6 must-have features for a dehydrator, and I will link that in this video below and here. But I want you to make sure that you watch that, because it does talk about the key features that I would recommend that you look for when buying a dehydrator. Now, I know that Excalibur is not the only brand of dehydrator that has those features, and there are some other ones. So make sure that you check that video out, and go ahead and share this with somebody that you think might be interested in the Excalibur Dehydrator. This is Jody with All About the Harvest, where I teach you how to grow, use, and preserve your harvest. All right, I hope this answered your questions about the Excalibur 9-tray dehydrator. And until next time, have a great week.